Story of the Vietnam Escape. I met Jacques in a dingy pub in Bexhill. We couldn't miss him, who stood out amongst all the other occupants of the bar, which was empty of anyone else. Quietly sitting on a bar stool, he was nursing a pint of non-alcoholic strawberry milkshake. I liked this pub, and came here often, enjoying its McDonald's burger restaurant theme. There was no one else in the pub, and I couldn't shake off a feeling of déjà vu which had come over me. Sandra, the bar lady, came over. "Can I help you, sir?" "Evening, Sandra," I replied. "It's 10 a.m. in the morning," Sandra wryly pointed out. "Yeah, thanks, I'll have a Guinness, please, Sandra." "We don't sell beer." "I'll get you a chocolate milkshake." "That's £1, please." I tossed a £1 coin onto the counter, which danced lazily on the yellow formica of the counter before accidentally bouncing and plopping into the pub's deep fat fryer. Staring at me with contempt, Sandra, sporting her name badge with her nickname on it, Kirsty, finished pouring my milkshake and then handed it to me. I took a seat near to Jacques, who at the time I knew nothing of. Jacques nodded, and I nodded back. "I've never seen you in here before," I said, making polite conversation. Jacques looked over and in a thick French Glaswegian accent spoke to me for the first time. "I have travelled far to be here, my friend." I was kind of caught short at that and didn't know exactly how to reply. "Where are you from?" I returned. "Originally, I'm not sure. I grew up in France and all around the world. I never knew my family." "Really? That's interesting," I replied, zoning back into what he was saying 10 minutes later. "Yes, I was left as a baby outside the entrance to a French Foreign Legion barracks in Marseille." In the corner of my eye, I could see Sandra attempting to fish something out of the pub's deep fat fryer with a long metal spoon. She swore as accidentally she dropped the spoon into the fryer. Jacques continued. "I was raised as a chef to the soldiers, and in 1975, at age 10, found myself in the Vietnamese jungle with the Legion, who had been fighting as mercenaries. The commanding officer from my regiment told me they were going for supplies and that they had really enjoyed my cooking, not to worry about the dysentery outbreak, and that they would be back to collect me the next day. I never saw them again. They were probably ambushed, although I did later receive a postcard from one of them with a postmark from Fiji saying that they missed me but wouldn't be coming back after all, and so have a good life, Jacques." Sandra's hat, which had been a big M on the front, had fallen into the deep fat fryer while she had been trying to fish around for the metal spoon. The pub's manageress had now joined Sandra at the deep fat fryer, which appeared to be giving off a thick, oily smoke. Both the manageress and Sandra were talking and looked over to where I was sat with Jacques. The manageress looked angry. It was then that suddenly Jacques completely took me by surprise and farted loudly. A silence fell over us. Jacques shifted nervously in his seat as if sitting on something uncomfortable. Suddenly, a feeling of déjà vu came over me as I noticed that aside from the manageress and Sandra, there was nobody else in the pub except myself and Jacques. Turning to Jacques, "I was just thinking the beer in here isn't great, if you ask me. Would you let me buy you a pint? I'd love to hear more of your story about Vietnam." Jacques looked surprised by my offer, and keenly he replied, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Hurriedly we left. The deep fat fryer was now thick with black smoke, which was pouring into the pub, while the manageress was ringing 999 on the phone. Half an hour later, sat on a park bench sharing a 2-litre bottle of white lightning cider from Lidl's, I found myself listening to Jacques' tale once more. The jungle was a cruel mistress, but with army rations I survived on my own until soon after the leaving of my regiment I was captured by the Viet Cong. At first they just locked me away, but then tired of takeaway and kebabs, they put me to work in the kitchen, stating that they had a taste for French cuisine, and if I didn't cook for them a meal of the finest that they had ever eaten, I would be cast into the man-pig pen to be treated like a female bleeding pig. Oink, oink! They mocked me so. And so, the next day, I set about creating my finest meal ever for them in the hope that they would see me for who I was and decide to set me free. Such a mistake it was that I made. A chef can only be as good as his ingredients, and the only food I had to cook with was rice, lobster, lamb, some beef, a selection of fresh herbs and vegetables grown in the prison camp compound, dried spices, truffles, and a few other basic ingredients from right around the world. Obviously, these were useless, and so I threw them away, except for some ingredients with which to make a soup. A simple soup. I would have to forage for ingredients, using my knowledge of jungle survival. But Lady Fortune was smiling at me, and at the back of the hut, where we all slept at night as prisoners, I found some fresh, wild mushrooms. The next day, nervously I served my soup to the guards.